Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Val and welcome to today's video. And on today's video, my anchor scripture will be Psalm 16 verse 2, which says, "Oh my soul, you have said to the Lord, you are my Lord. My goodness is nothing apart from you." Here we see David is just acknowledging God to be the master of his life. He is acknowledging that he was nothing with God, that the victory, the good name that he had, the favor, and all that people began to see in him. He was saying that, was it not for the Lord, you all would not see this. Was it not for the Lord, I will not be victorious. And that's why my goodness is nothing without God. And this week, this has been my heart cry. I have felt this in my spirit for a very long time. And I've just been thinking about how we are nothing without God. When the moment to begin to sit down and see ourselves, our greatness, or we begin to see the gifts that we have or the goodness of God in our lives, and we begin to see it as us, that is when God begins to despise us, because that's a form of pride. And he says that he desires for us to have a humble heart. And this is actually a matter of the heart, because the moment we begin to see ourselves as good enough, we begin to see ourselves as great without God, we begin to despise the things that God has done and not even acknowledge that, was it not for the Lord who did this, me, I am nothing, I have no good thing. And the moment we begin to see ourselves exalting ourselves more than and not acknowledging God, that means we have to get back to our hearts and check our hearts and ask the Lord to search our hearts, because he says that he despises us when we begin to look at ourselves. He despises us when we begin to feel the moment we begin to see ourselves as everything without God, as not codependency on God, we have to check ourselves. And when you also go to Ecclesiastes chapter 1 verse 14, we see it says, "I have seen all the works that are done under the sun, and indeed all is vanity and grasping to the wind." Here we see King Solomon, after acquiring all the wealth, after acquiring all the wisdom, after acquiring all the riches, he says that all is vanity, and without God it is all fading. It is all fading in a blink of an eye. It moves with the wind. It is all futile. That without God we are futile. Without God we are nothing. The moment we begin to acknowledge that we have a helper, we have a source, that is when God begins to even give us more increase. That is when God begins to even do more with us. But the moment we begin to see ourselves as sufficient without depending on Him, that becomes a problem, because that means we are exalting ourselves beyond God, and he doesn't like that, and he doesn't compete with us. He doesn't share his glory with any other. And we also see the moment David began to see that unless the Lord builds a house, without the Lord the laborers labor in vain. Unless the Lord helps us, we would wake up early and sleep late, it will all be in vain. Unless the Lord helps us, we will toil in vain. Unless we learn to depend on God, or to go back to Him for help, for grace, for mercy, we will actually be functioning in our own mind. And that is when we have to teach our hearts. David was saying to his soul, "I have taught my soul to learn that I am nothing without God." And that's it. Like, we are nothing without God. We can never exalt ourselves beyond God. We can never. And the moment our heart begins to see as if we have it all, we begin to see ourselves as great. We have to come back and realize that we have a master and we are nothing without God. And I've been sitting on this for some time now, and my prayer has been, Lord, and I pray that this will be a prayer, that Lord, help me not to get to a point where I do not acknowledge you as my master. Help me not to get to a point where I do not acknowledge every gift, every grace, everything that you have done. I think for me, the way I view it, like, everything that concerns me is just, like, from my car, everything is just God. The moment we begin to see ourselves as we deserve things, or it is the way we are working hard that we have certain things, from the car that you have, from the house that you have, the material things that the Lord has given you. He gives us these things. Of course, our focus is not material stuff, but we have a focus of eternity. But God makes our life on earth comfortable by rewarding us with these gifts of earth, like the material things. And sometimes people don't like to hear that, but it is God who rewards me. And the moment we begin to acknowledge God, He actually rewards us. And that is why we see people prospering or moving in ways, and then people become jealous or envious, but rather it is because God has chosen to reward them. And that is why at the end of the day, God is the lifter up of men. It is He who lifts our heads. It is He who chooses to reward us. It is He who chooses to give us the good things. And that can only happen the more we see and acknowledge that it is only Him, that without me, Lord, this I can't have. Without you, Lord, this I cannot have. Without you, Lord, I cannot be able to even do this. I cannot be able to even sustain some seasons. I could not even. We have to learn to acknowledge that without God we are nothing. It is just a posture of the heart. And this will be your prayer, that the Lord will help you to acknowledge Him as the Master, that He will help you to see how much He has helped you, that He would help you see His goodness in your life. Because David says, without the Lord, I have no goodness. That the goodness that we have, the favor, the grace, the help that we have, it is only by the grace of God. It is only because the Lord chooses to do it for us. It is only because the Lord chooses to reward us. And that's all I have for today's video. Thank you so much for watching.